In the mid-19th century, during the legendary California gold rush, thousands of prospectors flocked to the hills in search of fortune. Most of them went home broke. But there was a small group of people who got rich, regardless of how much gold was found, the ones who sold the shovels and the picks. Today, we are witnessing the greatest gold rush in human history, the race for artificial intelligence. And in this modern era, there is only one company selling the digital shovels: NVIDIA. While names like Google, Microsoft, and OpenAI dominate the headlines, NVIDIA is the silent architect providing the raw power that makes their existence possible. But NVIDIA didn't start in a high-tech lab at NASA. It started in a Denny's booth in 1993, founded by three engineers who believed that the future of computing lay in graphics. For decades, they were known only to a niche group of hardcore gamers. They perfected the GPU, the graphics processing unit, to render pixels for video games. Little did they know, the same architecture designed to draw a dragon in a fantasy world would one day become the brain of the most powerful AI systems on the planet. This is the business blueprint of Jensen Huang's trillion-dollar bet. This is how a gaming company became the backbone of the future. To understand why NVIDIA is currently untouchable, we must look beyond the silicon. Most people think NVIDIA's dominance is just about having the fastest chips. But the true secret of the business blueprint lies in a strategic masterstroke called CUDA. Launched in 2006, CUDA was a massive gamble that almost bankrupted the company. Jensen Huang decided that NVIDIA's GPUs shouldn't just be for rendering shadows in games. They should be programmable for general-purpose computing. At the time, Wall Street hated the idea. They saw it as a waste of resources, a solution looking for a problem. But Huang stayed the course, investing billions into a software ecosystem that allowed scientists and researchers to use the parallel processing power of GPUs for complex mathematical simulations. For over a decade, NVIDIA was building a moat that no one else even realized was being dug. By the time the world realized that deep learning and neural networks required massive parallel processing, NVIDIA didn't just have the chips, they had the entire language of the industry. Researchers everywhere were already trained on CUDA. Every major AI library was optimized for NVIDIA. This is the developer lock-in effect. If a competitor wants to challenge NVIDIA today, they don't just have to build a better chip. They have to convince an entire global ecosystem of millions of developers to rewrite their code from scratch. It was a perfect storm of luck and visionary engineering. As Moore's law began to slow down for traditional CPUs, NVIDIA's architecture was just hitting its stride. They didn't just wait for the AI revolution. They provided the oxygen for it to breathe. In this video, we are peeling back the layers of this technical monopoly to show how a company can dominate an entire sector, not just by building a product, but by owning the very infrastructure that the future is built upon. This is the difference between a supplier and a sovereign power in the world of technology. In the history of global business, there are moments where a single product becomes more than just a tool. It becomes a geopolitical asset. In the 20th century, that asset was oil. In the 21st century, it is the NVIDIA H100 Tensor Core GPU. We are currently living through a period where the world's most powerful companies, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and Meta, are engaged in an unprecedented arms race. But they aren't fighting each other directly. They are fighting for access to NVIDIA's production line. To understand the scale of this dominance, you have to look at the numbers. In fiscal year 2025, NVIDIA's data center revenue didn't just grow, it exploded, reaching over $115 billion. That is a staggering 142% year-over-year increase. We are talking about a company that now generates nearly 90% of its revenue from selling what Jensen Huang calls AI factories. These aren't just chips, they are entire racks of synchronized compute power. Like the GB200 Blackwell system, which packs 208 billion transistors into a single architecture. But why is the world so desperate for this specific silicon? The answer lies in the training and inference bottleneck. Every large language model, from GPT-5 to the most advanced sovereign AI systems in countries like Saudi Arabia and France, requires a level of compute that simply doesn't exist anywhere else. For big tech, buying an NVIDIA chip isn't a luxury, it is a survival tactic. If you don't have the compute, you don't have the AI. If you don't have the AI, you lose the future. This has created a bizarre market dynamic where NVIDIA currently enjoys gross margins of around 75%. In the hardware world, these numbers are unheard of. It is a level of profitability usually reserved for software companies or luxury brands like LVMH. NVIDIA has successfully transformed high-end hardware into a high-margin subscription to the future. They have positioned themselves as the central nervous system of the global data center. Every time a user asks an AI a question, every time a company trains a new model, and every time a nation-state builds its own sovereign digital infrastructure, a toll is paid to the house that Jensen built. This is the ultimate toll booth business model, applied to the most complex technology ever created by humanity. To understand the true scale of the NVIDIA monopoly, you have to realize that Jensen Huang is no longer just building hardware. He is building the operating system of the future. This brings us to the fourth pillar of the business blueprint, the Blackwell revolution and the era of agentic AI. While the competition is still trying to catch up to yesterday's chips, NVIDIA has already moved the goalposts. The new Blackwell architecture isn't just a chip, it is a massive leap in efficiency, designed to run large language models with 25 times less energy consumption than its predecessors. But the real magic isn't in the energy savings, it's in the integration. NVIDIA has introduced the Omniverse and NVIDIA AI Enterprise. This is where the business blueprint shifts from hardware to a recurring software model. They are creating a world where every factory, every robot, and every autonomous system is designed, simulated, and operated inside an NVIDIA-powered digital twin before it ever touches the physical world. This is the Omniverse, a persistent industrial metaverse that allows companies like BMW or Siemens to optimize their entire production line in a virtual space. We are moving into the age of agentic AI. Systems that don't just answer questions, but execute complex tasks. To power this, NVIDIA is building AI foundries. Think of this as the TSMC of software. Companies can come to NVIDIA, use their pre-trained models, their specialized NIM microservices, and their massive compute infrastructure to build their own custom AI brains. This creates a terrifyingly powerful feedback loop. The more companies use NVIDIA's software, the more they become dependent on NVIDIA's hardware. They are effectively building a wall around the future of computing. This isn't just about selling a product anymore. It is about owning the platform where all future innovation is born. While competitors focus on flops and clock speeds, NVIDIA is focusing on time to market. They provide the entire stack, from the silicon to the simulation, making it nearly impossible for any CEO to justify choosing a cheaper, unproven alternative. In the high-stakes game of global AI, NVIDIA has become the house, and the house always wins. In the grand theatre of global politics, power was once measured by the size of a nation's naval fleet or its oil reserves. But in the 21st century, the ultimate measure of sovereignty is compute. This is the fifth pillar of our business blueprint, the geopolitical shield. NVIDIA has become so vital to the future of nations that it is now a central figure in the escalating chip war between the United States and China. To the US government, NVIDIA's high-end GPUs are a strategic asset that must be protected at all costs. Export bans on chips like the A100 and H100 are not just trade disputes. They are attempts to freeze the technological development of a global rival. This has forced Jensen Huang to navigate one of the most complex diplomatic minefields in corporate history. NVIDIA must maintain its lead while complying with shifting regulations that threaten its access to the massive Chinese market. a market that once accounted for a significant portion of its revenue. But while one door partially closes, another is swinging wide open: sovereign AI. Nations like Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Japan, and France are no longer content with relying on American cloud providers. They want to build their own AI infrastructure, trained on their own data, reflecting their own languages and cultures. NVIDIA is the only partner capable of delivering these national-scale AI factories at speed. By positioning itself as a neutral provider of intelligence infrastructure, NVIDIA is effectively building a global shield. They aren't just selling to companies, they are signing deals with governments. This turns NVIDIA into a geopolitical utility. When a country builds its entire future economy on NVIDIA's architecture, they are locked into that ecosystem for decades. This is the ultimate form of soft power. NVIDIA is no longer just a company in Silicon Valley. It is a global superpower with its own foreign policy. And its chips are the most valuable diplomatic currency in existence. As we stand at the precipice of a new industrial revolution, the legacy of NVIDIA is already written in the silicon of the world. But the final pillar of the business blueprint is perhaps the most important: the persistence of vision. Today, NVIDIA faces a new kind of threat. Its own customers, giants like Google, Amazon, and Microsoft, are now designing their own custom AI chips to reduce their dependence on Jensen Huang. In any other industry, this would be the beginning of the end. But NVIDIA has spent 30 years preparing for this exact moment. The secret weapon isn't just a faster chip, it's the full stack advantage. NVIDIA isn't just selling a component, they're selling a solution that works out of the box with a software library that has been optimized for decades. While competitors try to build a better shovel, NVIDIA has already built the entire mining city, the transportation network, and the marketplace. They have moved from being a hardware vendor to becoming the AI foundry for the planet. The ultimate lesson from the NVIDIA story is that true market dominance is not built on a single product, but on an ecosystem that becomes indispensable. Jensen Huang didn't just build a successful company, he built a platform that defined the architecture of human progress. He taught us that in business, being first is good, but being the infrastructure is everything. As we look forward to the era of robotics, digital twins, and autonomous agents, one thing remains clear: the world will continue to run on the blueprints designed in Santa Clara. NVIDIA has successfully turned the most complex engineering challenges of our time into the world's most profitable business model. They didn't just win the gold rush, they owned the map, the tools, and the ground itself. The question for the next generation of entrepreneurs and investors is simple. In a world of rapidly shifting technologies, are you building a product that can be replaced, or are you building a blueprint that the world cannot live without?